All right, we're joined by ranked UFC flyweight Tim Elliott. Tim, how's it going?
Going good. I'm up here in Kansas City. Today's my day off, so I'm just relaxing. I'm not doing anything.
And before we get into your fight on Fight Island, you were telling me you accepted that short notice fight against Tyson Nam, and then Nevada stopped it. How frustrating was that for you? Because you were trying to make that quick turnaround.
Uh, it was kind of bullshit because, I've had 15, 16, 17 fights in the UFC. I've never had any real suspensions. I think even when I fought Askar and he knocked me out in the first round, um, I don't even think I had a 30-day suspension then. So I think that they just kind of messed up with the COVID thing happening and fighting at the Performance Institute at the Apex Center. Like they kind of rush you in and rush you out. Well, as I was leaving, I just briefly talked to the doctor and signed my paperwork, but it wasn't a big deal because I didn't have any injuries or anything. It was a submission. I got head and arm triangled. So like, but I don't think that they wrote down anything. So I think that they were just like to protect everybody. They gave me a mandatory 30-day suspension, which really sucked because by the time I'd accepted the fight, which would have been 3 days, 4 days later, the fight would have happened. I mean, I'd already been subbed like 10 times since then. So I didn't really understand the suspension, but there's no reason to argue or anything. They got me a quick turnaround fight anyway, which is probably better. It gave me some time to go come here down to Kansas City and do some stuff out here that I was wanting to do anyway.
Are you out training with like James Krause and all them?
Yeah, training with James Krause, Grant Dawson, Jason Witt, who's fighting tonight. Um, yeah, so like my old team, my daughter was down here seeing family anyway, and it'd been like almost a month in Las Vegas without seeing her, and I was getting a little stir crazy. So I was like, I'm just gonna take this fight and then go train with James, and then James and I will fly up for Fight Island. And my regular coaches are going to be coaching Joe B on July 18th in the title fight. So I was like, man, I'm going to be up here training, and they're going to have a title fight. I didn't want to pull anything away from myself, and I didn't want to pull anything away from Coach Casey and Joseph Benavidez and those guys. So I felt like the logical move was just come to a small camp in Kansas City. I love these guys. This was my home before I made it to the UFC. So that's where I'm at now.
And when you get the call for Fight Island, are you one of those people thinking it's going to be in the Caribbean on this beach, or were you kind of thinking it's going to be somewhere like Abu Dhabi?
I had a feeling. I knew Joe Beast kept saying like, "Oh man, Fight Island's not going to be glamorous. Don't worry, it's not going to be glamorous. Like it's going to be a chunk of dirt in the ocean where there's just fighters." So um, I'm not too worried about that. I would prefer just to fight in Vegas. I don't know why they don't just do everything at the Apex Center. It works out really well. They have a system going already. There's no international flights happening with it. Um, but that being said, I need I need the work. A lot of people can't work right now, and I'm just lucky enough that the UFC is allowing me to work. And not only that, even after my third loss in a row, which I thought maybe I would be done fighting after that, they renegotiated my contract and then gave me some more fights. So like I went from things looking down and me maybe thinking about calling her quits to getting a raise and fighting on Fight Island.
If they would have cut you, then would you have called a career? Would you have gone back to the regional season and tried to make your way back to the UFC again?
I don't know. It happened once before where the UFC cut me, and then I left and I came back to Kansas City and I fought in Titan for 3 fights. Those 3 fights that I had in Titan were the best I've ever felt. They were probably my 3 best fights. The fights I was having the most fun in, the fights that I was the most dominating in, and the opponents that I had were really good. I fought Elliott Santos my first fight out, and then I fought Pedro the Rock Nobre, who was like 19-1 my next fight. And then I fought Felipe Efren my third fight, who was 11-0. So I had fought 3 really good opponents outside of the UFC, and I don't know, it kind of revamped my career. I felt like I was having fun again, and as soon as this happened and I got to Kansas City, I was just hoping like I could get a similar thing going on for me. Like I went from being a high in the UFC to a low being out of the UFC to being a high into the Ultimate Fighter and fighting for a world title to losing 3 in a row and thinking like this might be it again. But man, it's those peaks and valleys in the sport that really keep me attracted to it. Like those times of despair where you feel like, man, there's nothing worse in the world. And then you get a win or something good happens in training and it feels like the best feeling in the world. So like as shitty as it is, those peaks and valleys, man, are what really make me thrive in the sport and like really make me love the job that I have and get to do.
Are you excited to be on Fight Island? Because even some of my friends who aren't like hardcore MMA fans, they've been texting me like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch all these Fight Island cards," just because the UFC such a good job marketing, right? Everyone's like, I gotta see Fight Island. It's like, are you excited to be on that? Because there probably is gonna be more viewers watching this.
I am, and I like the part of fighting is getting out places and flying and seeing new things and you know having that different adversities. So for me, it's all good. I'm super stoked about that. The time change is going to be a little bit weird. Again, the fighting with no fans, I didn't think was going to be that big of a deal. And then I think in my fight with Brandon Roval in between rounds, I was like, oh shit, it's so quiet in here. And people got all upset that I said that. They're like, oh, boo-hoo, not you don't have fans. But I'm like, man, I got to fight on the biggest promotion in the world, and I want to hear some noise. Like, screw me for wanting, to be cheered when I do something bad or booed because people hate me. Like, it's a big deal to be able to fight in front of, 60, 70, 100,000 people. And like now I'm fighting in front of, 10 people and my coaches, and it's quiet as the training room. It's a totally different atmosphere. But yeah, I'm stoked about it. I've never been to, Abu Dhabi, and it's a man-made island, and we have 25-mile radius away from everybody that's not a UFC personnel. So it's going to be different, but I feel like I'll thrive in those situations.
In your fight, you obviously lost against Brandon, but it's like you obviously got the 50K bonus. Was that kind of something that just helped with the loss?
I mean, big time, especially before I even knew whether the not the UFC was going to cut me. I was a little bit worried about financials at that point because me and my girlfriend Gina Mazzani, we just bought a house together in Las Vegas, and all those good things were happening. But then, like, neither one of us were going to be signed to fight, and then man, the 50K bonus certainly helped with that. Then they renegotiated my contract, and then briefly after that, Gina was signed again, and so things are looking up again. But yeah, I feel like right now is the time. Fights are happening, and people all over are saying that they want to fight and they want to do this and they want to do that, but then they're nowhere to be found when these calls are happening. Yet the same 10, 12 guys are getting on certain cards because they want to fight. And the guys that really want to fight are really getting fights. So I feel like I can't just sit back and talk on the internet. Like, if they call me, I'm going to jump on it. And, it doesn't matter if it's 2 hours away in Las Vegas or a 20-hour flight to Abu Dhabi. We're going to be there and we're going to go to work.
Is Gina going to get another fight just because she took that fight on super short notice?
I believe they're going to give her – I don't think they're going to cut anybody during the pandemic times. I think they're having a hard time finding guys, not just guys, but guys that they know are going to show up, not be a problem. They're going to take the test. They're going to quarantine. They're going to make weight. They're not going to give the promotion any grief. I think that's why Gina and I are, getting re-signed and renegotiated contracts even after, not having some of the best performances, because we're easy to work with. They know we're going to do everything that we need to do. We're going to pass our drug test. We're not, we're not going on getting in trouble on the weekends or anything like that. So we're company people, and winning and losing is a big part of it. But there's a lot to be said for people who can come in and do all the other things that they're supposed to do, because not everybody can. You would think, being a professional sport, that everybody's going to come in and make weight, and that everybody's going to not go out and drink and drive and get a DUI on one weekend and not be able to fight. So in that sense, I feel like we're lucky because, fighting is such a small part of being in the UFC, and we're killing the other parts of it.
And your opponent, Ryan Benoit, was this someone you had your on? Because I know last time we talked, you were thinking if you beat Brandon, you want to call out Jordan Espinosa. So was Ryan someone you had your eye on, or were you looking at other people?
No, I had no eye on Ryan at all. But when the Tyson Nam fight came around and I jumped on it right away, then they said I was suspended. I was a little bit disheartened, but then they were like, yeah, but you can fight Nam's opponent. Because I guess Benoit can't fight in Las Vegas because of some drug test situation, but he can fight in other places. Vegas is a little bit strict. So that was just a logical choice for me. Really, I would have rather fought Nam. I don't like to fight the guys who can't make weight or who can't pass a drug test or things like that, because like I worked hard to get where I'm at, and I don't mind doing the UFC favors, but I don't want to do these guys any favors for not putting themselves through the same shit that I had to put myself through. So that was a little bit of worry, but really what I did was I sat down with James Krause and I asked him what he thought, and he was like, I don't know. And I told him, well, we have this many weeks to Fight Island. He was going there with Grant Dawson anyway, who fights on the 18th. So he said that's a good fight for me, and like I just sat back and let them guys take the wheel. Casey Halstead and James Krause, those guys. I mean, I pay them to make the decisions for me. So like I don't have to do anything except for keep my ears open, and good things will happen.
Yep, Ryan's a guy. He's obviously has a bunch of UFC experience. He's beat Sergio Pettis, fought Ben Wynn, lost a close fight to Brandon Moreno. He obviously had the 2 years off, returned in last December, lost a decision. So how do you see this fight playing out? Because he is a tough guy, and he has knocked power. Like, he's knocked out a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I think Ryan is one of my tougher fights in the danger factor sense. Like, he's a dangerous guy. We both lost to Ben Wynn the exact same way. We both got kicked in rear naked chokes, so it's hard to really judge off of that. And then other than that, like, we've both fought several really good guys in the division, but kind of away from each other. Like, I've never fought Brandon Moreno, and but as far as styles go and the matchup, I feel like this is another good opportunity for me to get bonus money. I don't think this is an easy fight by any means. I think the Brandon Royval fight should have been a gimme fight. I didn't take it really serious. I wasn't really training. I came right off the couch. I still think I should have won that fight. But in the sense that it happened the way that it did, I'm glad it happened with somebody like Brandon Royval. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of life to go in the sport. Might be the champion one day. I would much rather lose to him like that than, like, say, Demetrius Johnson. So stylistically, opponent wise, I think this is a good one. I think it's a good opportunity to get bonus money and a win.
And the UFC said they're not cutting anyone during this, but how important is this win then, just to snap the losing streak and get back in the winning column?
I mean, it's everything, because, people want to say, well, at first it was all about winning and getting the belt. And then, like, I got cut, and then I came back and won the Ultimate Fighter and fought for a world title, and I didn't get the belt. And then it was like, for the first time ever, I'm making some money. And I'm like, okay, now the goal is to try to make some money to where I, can have some retirement in the bank for my daughter. And then I started making money and getting bonus checks, but then I had 3 losses in a row, and I'm like, oh man, making money is great and all, but winning is what it's really about. So it just kind of goes full circle. I feel like I've had these ups and downs and highs and lows, and I'm ready to peak again. And I feel like moving out of Vegas for a little bit has done me some good. Like, I'm really missing my coaches, and I'm missing my home back in Vegas. And I think that is part of, a camp for me, like getting out of my comfort zone a little bit. I was living a cushy life in Vegas and training with all my friends and people that I see every day. And, like, it was just so comforting. And now I'm in Kansas City. I'm staying at an Airbnb, and I'm, bouncing back and forth to a gym full of new guys that I don't really know. And, like, it's been great. It's been like a real camp, like a lot of hardships to go through in a short amount of time, but I think that's all going to benefit me in the fight coming up.
And you're obviously going out to Abu Dhabi, which the heat is out there. Like, I've talked to people that are on that 242 card. They're saying it was so hot. It really took a lot out of their cardio. Is that a worry, just like of how hot it's going to be and how much extra you're going to have to work?
I mean, I live in Las Vegas, so I'm hoping that it's similar. But no, I like that. I want, and same with the plane trip, like flying up early and getting tested and being quarantined, like all that shit is stress. But, like, it's fair because everybody has to go through it. It's not like he's already in Abu Dhabi, getting acclimated. Like, we're going to be on a charter plane and getting tested and doing all the same things at the same time. So I feel like if everybody's going through it, like, I'll benefit more. Like, if everybody's having the hardships, like, I'll thrive in a situation where things aren't the best for most people.
And the way they're doing these Fight Island cards, they're keeping it like local time, like for Eastern Pacific. So it's going to be like the main card 10 p.m. Eastern. So you're going to be fighting like 2, 3, 4 a.m. over there. Like, are you just going to try to stay on Kansas City and Las Vegas time? Are you going to like sleep during the day there, or are you going to try to get acclimated and just get ready to fight at 3 a.m?
I'm going to try to. I'm not sure. Honestly, I didn't know they were even going to do that. That was news for me. I was going to try to get on the Abu Dhabi time, but if they're going to be fighting on this time, then who knows? My sleep schedule's all jacked up anyway. So, like, again, it's just one of those things where, like, if everything else is equal and everybody's going through it, then I feel like I'll benefit from it. Like, if we were having to sleep outside and stuff before the thing in the sand and the heat, I feel like it would benefit me even more. Like, the more negative things that can happen in the fight, like, I do good there. I've been poor my whole life and never had an air conditioner growing up anyway. So the heat and the struggle, that stuff, I thrive in those positions. And I like that. I like that spot, especially knowing my opponent's going through all that as well.
And you guys are fighting on a Wednesday. It's a rare Wednesday card. Is that going to throw you off just because you're so used to everything being on, like, you do this on the Wednesday, do this on the Thursday, your weight cuts the Friday? Like, or are you just going to go at it where you're now Wednesday is now your Saturday?
I mean, we train on Wednesdays too, we train and diet on Wednesdays, just like Thursdays, just like Friday. That's the cool thing about being a fighter is the weekends mean nothing to me. Like, all my days run together. Like, I don't, if I don't want to train and I don't want to do anything, I can literally lay on the couch all day. So it's just one of those things where like it's not a normal job. There's no like set time you're really going to fight. You could be fighting in Sweden or Switzerland or Abu Dhabi or Las Vegas. So things change. And again, that's just one of those things to where like the more I think about like how negative all this shit is going to be, the more like it amps me up to fight, because I want these other guys to have to go through that adversity. And then it's not just a fight. It's not just who's the best guy that night. It's like who had the best camp, who had the best weight cut, who brought the best coaches, who had the best sleep plan, who had the best game plan. Like it adds these other factors in that are like interesting to me that I didn't get or I wasn't having in Las Vegas, being at home, like not even staying in the hotel, like sleeping in my bed at night, which felt really nice and comforting. But like it wasn't the same. It wasn't like a fight camp. It wasn't like a real knockdown, drag out fight. And I feel like this is going to be that. And that's what I need.
And you've already fought once during this like COVID time where there's no fans, you have all the testing. Do you think that's going to be a benefit over you or with you over Ryan, just because he hasn't done this? He hasn't fought in front of the no fans and done all that testing and having to be sitting in your hotel room?
You know, in my head, I'm saying yes. But again, these guys, he's a professional. He's been in it a long time. He's going to be a hard guy to shake. But yeah, it's different. I had 4 fights in the Ultimate Fighter as well with no fans. So you'd think that experience would help me. But and I didn't think that not having fans was going to be that big of a deal. But I'm one of those guys who like I only can go so hard in practice. Like practice isn't the place where I really thrive. I usually do well in front of the noise and the lights, and like I have a switch that I can usually turn on. And man, walking out in the Apex Center, it was hard to turn that switch on. Even as Brandon was punching me and kneeing me and kicking me and shit, like it was hard to flip that switch over to being in fight mode. But again, I have a little experience now. I know what to expect a little bit more. And yeah, I think going into this fight, I have every advantage over Ryan. Honestly, I feel good about my training camp and the way things are going. And I'm excited to get this flight over with and get out there and check out the city and acclimate a little bit.
And just 2 more things for you. You obviously, ever since coming back from that knee injury, you've been fighting a lot. You've been active. You're fighting every 2-3 months. Like, barring everything goes well, like, how many more fights do you think you can get this year? Because you're already at 3 this year, in which a lot of fighters don't even get 3 in a year.
I mean, if all goes well, there might be 3 wins this week in Fight Island. I don't know. I don't know if people are going to show. I know that's the thing, is every single card, people have missed weight, not showed up. But in Vegas, the good thing is they can find guys on 1, 2, 3 days notice. Fight Island, there aren't going to be any guys, but I'm going to be the guy that's out there that can make 25 or 35. My blood work's done. I'm usually pretty good at not taking damage. So like, if I can go and fight well and the company wants me, man, I'll fight the 15th, the 18th, and the 25th. Again, I'm doing this now for different reasons than I used to, and I'm not taking any injuries, and I want to stay active, and like I need to make this money.
And when you were going to fill in to fight Nam, you're obviously going to share a card with Gina. Is that still a goal for you guys to be on the UFC card together?
For me, no. I always promised her that I would never fight on the same card as her, and I know she gets a little bit nervous as well. And then when the thing happened right before that, the morning of, my coach. So Gina accepted the fight, and then the morning after that, my coach was saying he gave a speech, and it was really like inspirational about how you got to take these opportunities as they come, because they're not just giving them to anybody. And I was like, yeah. And then they called with a Nam fight, and I was like, And then Gina, I didn't know Gina was going to be on board, and then she was like, look, man, the coach just had this conversation with us about these guys not taking these opportunities, and like I know I'm not going to regret the fights that I've won and lost, but I would regret fights that I didn't take. So as soon as that happened, and like we were both on board, and it was inspirational, honestly, to get that and go through it. And then like when it got shut down, it also wasn't that big of a deal, because I wanted the night to be about Gina, and I didn't want to get in her way at all. So like I felt like it, even though I didn't get the fight, it kind of played out the way that it was supposed to.
And just last thing, you've obviously said you want to fight Espinosa. Is that someone you want next, or do you have your eye on someone after Benoit if you get the win?
No, and I didn't necessarily have my eye on Espinosa either. They called me and offered me the fight, and it frustrated me, because like they don't call me and offer fights unless it's a sure deal. They know I'm going to take it. I've never turned down a fight. So like when they called and asked if I wanted it, and I said yes, I just assumed that it was done. And then they called back and said that he turned it down, and I was like, well, like why not clear that with him first? Because you guys know I'm going to say yes. Like, but whatever, nothing on Jordan Espinosa. I heard through the grapevine that it was his manager that turned it down anyway. But no, I have nothing on Jordan. It was just that was a fight where I knew we were both close to weight, and I know he'll come up and put on a show. And we were already supposed to fight once before, and I was injured, so it was just a logical fight. But no, I don't care who it is. Like I said, my goals have changed quite a bit. Now it's, be exciting, have some fun, and feel good these last few fights, and that's what I'm here to do. And it doesn't really matter who I'm fighting to do that. I can do that in any fight.
All right, well, Tim, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.